This morning on The Young and the Restless, Jack dumps Kyle, Heather dumps Daniel, and Jeremy Stark comes back. At the club, Summer gives Phyllis a bear embrace after they've finally met. The redhead counts herself lucky that at least one of her offspring doesn't despise her. Summer needs to know why they're popping champagne. Phyllis has announced that they would be drinking a toast to Summer for convincing her brother to reconsider his actions. Assuming she means that he fired her, Summer goes with that interpretation. Phyllis claims that he is currently in a terrible mood, and that once he reaches this point, he can no longer be reasoned with. It's clear that he has to be rescued. This, Summer thinks, is why she still traveled to Portugal despite her warnings. Phyllis thinks he's trying to vent his frustration with Heather by attacking her. Summer speculates that it could be because she cheated on him. There is pain in Phyllis's life. Phyllis grabs the champagne as Summer reaches for it, explaining that it's meant for someone who has helped her. Summer tells her mom that her vacation might have derailed Daniel's plans to make up with Heather. Phyllis denies being the cause of Daniel's plan's demise and claims, instead, that she helped steer it in the proper direction. To her mind, Daniel's stress is to blame for his bizarre behavior. Summer explains her mother's recent concern by saying they went on a whim. What did she do, Phyllis wonders, for her children to turn against her? Summer tells her that her loved ones cherish her beyond measure. If only Summer had told Daniel about her intentions from the beginning, maybe things wouldn't be so messy now. Heather in Daniel's apartment regrets not informing him of her visit. She gained in by pretending to be his wife at the front desk. That's all right with Daniel, and he's happy to see her. A warm embrace is shared by both parties, to which Lucy's boyfriend Daniel replies, "How are you? Why hasn't she shown up yet?" Heather gushes about her, then suggests they meet in private to discuss something. Heather interrupts Daniel as he tries to call ahead and reserve a table for supper. The best plan ever. The young and the restless Sally and Adam are a perfect match. Jack gives Diane a kiss and welcomes her home with a chuckle when she arrives at the Abbott residence. Diane assures him that it's wonderful to finally hear him say those things to himself. This is too good to be true. Despite Jack's fears, she hasn't had any second thoughts and has even joked, "You're trapped with me." A bottle of wine is poured, and they raise a glass to each other, the future and their safe return. When Kyle comes in, they're in the middle of a passionate kiss. He says that he and Summer had had a huge argument, and he has no idea how he might win her forgiveness. Jack makes light of the situation by saying, "Maybe your partner Victor will have a thought." Diane gives him a quick glance. While Tucker is apologizing to Ashley for serving her poor Cabernet in his suite, the two engage in lighthearted conversation. Tucker demands to know why on earth she is there. Basically, Ashley only wanted him to clarify his desire to come clean in a recent voicemail. Tucker is perplexed by her apparent openness to hear him out. That's why Ashley is telling him not to read too much into it. She explains that she's upset because of her brother and Diane when he comments on her disposition. Tucker remembers that things got extremely heated between her and Jack the last time they fought. As Kyle gets home to the Abbotts, he informs his dad that he was the one guarding Jabut. "Have I taught him nothing?" Jack yells, since he trusted the fox to guard the henhouse, and for what exactly is he to keep tuned? Kyle is very clueless, and will refuse whatever else Victor asks of him, except if he offers you a textile plant or something. Jack sneers. "Cut me a break, Dad," snarls Kyle. "You lied to me, Kyle." Jack scolds Kyle. "Contrary to my requests, you went ahead and did it. You have endangered the business by your actions. How dare you choose Victor above your own father?" Kyle maintains his faith in his dad and says you should too. After some thought, Jack says, "I think the major question now is, can I trust you?" He saunters outside for some fresh air. For a positive spin on the situation, Kyle checks in with Diane to see whether she agrees. Diane is capable of understanding both sides. Kyle confesses that he didn't give much thought to the aesthetics or the context. Mommy Diane is telling her son he needs to be patient. She is the physical embodiment of Jack's lenient character. Diane mentions that Jack urged her to relocate after Kyle spots her moving boxes. Ashley is nervous that Tucker will be expecting a repeat performance of their previous encounter in his suite. In Paris, she saw that there were gaps in his explanation. The strategy he has in mind to counter Jabot is of interest to her. Tucker disavows such a scheme but expresses regret for having lied to her. He hopes to have an open dialogue with her, My financial situation is dire, deeper than I was comfortable with admitting, even to myself. Phyllis laments to her friends at society that she has produced two tiny cynics. In an attempt to calm her down, Summer advises her to tone it down a notch. Phyllis says that they are both cynical and unsupportive of each other. She sought out Heather to enlighten her. She wants an apology when she takes him back. Summer shouts that they just want her to quit trying to manage other people's life when she can't even manage her own. According to Phyllis, you're doomed if you do and damned if you don't in the realm of motherhood. She is sick of always being cast in a negative light. She snaps, "Share that with your brother," and storms off with the champagne. Kyle and Diane meet at the Abbott home to talk about Diane's plans to move in with Jack. She claims that they've matured and progressed since then. This has been in the works for decades. Getting to spend more time with him and Harrison is a nice perk. Kyle agrees the youngster will be ecstatic. When Diane finds out how you are doing, she asks, "What about you?" Kyle assures her that they are not need to have his approval. Diane hopes he gives her his blessing on the idea. Suddenly, Summer enters the room. Her question, "What else went wrong today?" comes after she acknowledges she probably doesn't want to know. It's fantastic news, in Diane's opinion. This prompts Summer to inquire, "Is it?" Tucker admits to Ashley in the suite that he let people in the ashram make decisions for his firm when he should have known better. When he had an accident, he had to sell off parts of the company to save the rest, but he still wasn't able to get things back on track quickly enough. He reasoned that selling a few whales would bring in enough money. Here is where Jabbat and Chancellor Winters come in, Ashley realizes. Ashley counters that Tucker was willing to risk the firm's going down with McCall and taking her and Devon with him because he wanted to establish something with them. Tucker, why the heck did you offer to invest in a business for me? You obviously didn't have the cash to back that up. To get the money, Tucker would have sold even more of McCall. Ashley thinks he was rooting for her to be so enthusiastic about the plan that she would put up some of her own money. It was your fantasy, Tucker. Not mine. It's getting to Tucker, and he's frustrated. Then why is she even there if she doesn't believe anything he says? Now is the time to feel the connection and the energy. This fervor remains even in the midst of our heated debates. Daniel apologizes to Heather in Daniel's suite for his mother, but Heather tells him he doesn't need to. If Daniel had realized what she was planning, he would have hidden her passport. He started a new gaming project, and Heather said she couldn't stop gushing about how pleased she is of him. Daniel recognizes that she is his most ardent supporter. As soon as Heather heard his progress, she felt relieved. The fresh start appears to have revitalized him. Daniel recognizes that the process has been therapeutic. Unlike everyone else, Heather doesn't notice that he's unusual. "You have a great appearance." Phyllis orders a drink as Jack enters the hotel lobby. As they come into mutual awareness, they groan. Jack realizes she's having a difficult day and muses, "There must be something in the water." Phyllis announces that she will no longer be tying her children's aprons behind their backs. Nothing about her makes Jack think of an apron or chopping off her offspring, and he can relate to how she is feeling. He goes out on a tirade about how someone he loves about has severely let him down. Phyllis praises God that he has come to his senses concerning Diane. Jack claims she is not responsible for his disappointment. The answer to that question is Kyle is. He finishes his drink and leaves after telling her she is her own worst enemy. After Ashley gives Tucker a kiss in his apartment, he emphatically responds, "Nah. There is absolutely nothing there." Tucker says she isn't being truthful with herself because her feelings for him were revived after she went for Paris. According to Ashley, it was just a temporary loss of her faculties. She inquires as to whether or not he plans to remain. When asked what he plans to do, Tucker is at a loss. "There are no more paths open to me." He explains that Victor wants to acquire his debt in order to seize control of his business. Ashley agrees with him and then wonders if he isn't scared of losing it all. Tucker speculates that it could finally be time for it to occur. After his wife left for Paris, he recognized that the only thing that mattered in his plan to work with his son and the passion of his life were the individuals involved. He sighs, "My karma's catching up to me." Summer finds out at the Abbott residence. Diane could hardly refuse Jack's offer to move in with him. "Summer?" Kyle wants to know. Well, Summer concedes. Inquiringly, he inquires as to her destination, Harrison is the subject of her inquiry at the moment. It didn't go well, and Diane wants to know what she can do about it. Right now, Kyle needs to go talk things out with his better half. Heather and Daniel are in Daniel's suite, and he's telling her that the toughest journeys are the ones they do by themselves. In these cases of wandering aimlessly, you may find yourself with a lot of time on your hands. He reflected about his loved ones, the individuals he owes his unconditional affection and care. His treatment of her and Lucy was completely unacceptable. For the sake of himself and them both, he must get his life back on track. A sob from Heather. Daniel reassures her that everything will turn out well. It's going to be okay, trust us. The woman shakes her head. Assuming anything is awry, Daniel inquires as to the problem. Heather says openly, I've met someone. As shocking as it was to Daniel, he still can't believe what he just heard. Heather was pessimistic that things could ever be the same between them. The injuries were severe, and the scars will endure a lifetime. Don't we deserve a second chance? Daniel implores. Heather wonders, how could I forget even if I could forgive you? She hopes that he will treat her with the same care and affection that she has shown him. Since she couldn't stay there, she left. We fell in love, and I did end up meeting someone. And if you're being completely forthright with yourself, Daniel, you'll take a good hard look at this new beginning that you've created for yourself and come to the conclusion that it's best if you do the same. Ashley in Tucker's apartment finds it hard to understand that he would give up so easily. Where is the Tucker who has tricks up his sleeve and sneaky plans in motion? Are you seriously going to let this go? Tucker shrugs and says that freedom is the ability to let go. The more he clings to things, the more he loses. Ashley is left wondering, so what now? If it meant spending the rest of his life with her, Tucker would forget everything else. After this, Ashley sighs and says, You're simply relentless. Tucker assures her that she is irresistible always. Thus, Ashley doesn't understand how he can hold on to any optimism at all. To Tucker's delight, she hears his declaration of love. No amount of karma seems capable of altering that. Jack comes back to the Abbott home, where he apologizes to Diane for leaving so quickly and gives her a big hug. Diane feels like she's made things even more confusing. After seeing her bags, Kyle knew she couldn't conceal anything from him. A diplomat, he handled the situation delicately. For the time being, Jack claims he has more pressing concerns. He's confident that Kyle will agree with him. Diane thinks he should take it all in. Jack says confidently, it will happen. Hopefully it will work out in the end if you just wait. Together they kiss, with Jack assuring her that the worst is over. Jeremy Stark approaches Phyllis in the hotel lobby and observes, looks like you could use a friend.